Back with us now, NewsNation contributor Denise Gitsham and Democratic strategist Kayvon Schroff. All right, team, let's talk about this. Libby Dean just laid it out. You see these live pictures here. There's about to be a celebration. Denise, North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis, one of 3 Senate Republicans to vote against the bill, compared President Trump's promise not to cut Medicaid to President Obama, telling voters if you like your health care plan, to sell Obamacare. What do you make here? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that poor Senator Tillis, I mean, look, he was in a rough spot, and I don't think he fully understood what was in the bill, to be honest, because I think Republicans need to double down and point Americans to the bill, to read the bill, and see what it says on pages 365 and 366 about who gets to keep and who doesn't get to keep their Medicaid benefits. And if Democrats want to be the party that stands on the side of people who stand against the American dream, which is, contributing to your own personal responsibility for caring for your health care, Republicans are going to stand on we're preserving Medicaid for those who actually need it and not for illegal immigrants and those who are able-bodied, not caring for dependents, who should be required to do something productive with their life 20 hours of the week, which is half of what most Americans do that actually pay for their Medicaid. So I'm still in the camp of I think America is made on the backs of people who embrace personal responsibility and want to be net contributors rather than takers. And I think most Americans agree with me. That's why 70% of Americans support work requirements.
Kayvon, coming to you next. And just so both of you know, if President Trump does come out, we're going to dip into that and listen to him and hear him speak. But Kayvon, Senator Tillis warned President Trump, that the Medicaid cuts in this legislation would cost Republicans the House majority in 2026. What do Democrats need to do to make that prediction a reality? Make it not just, a prediction, but actually make it come true.
I can guarantee you they're not going to punt and tell voters they have to read several hundred pages of a bill. They're going to do much more effective messaging and connect the real-world harms that these voters are going to be experiencing because of these brutal cuts to this bill. And I would say not only 2026 midterms are going to be effective, but I think effectively the 2028 primary for Republicans begins today, because you have people like Tucker Carlson who are very unhappy with Trump for bombing Iran, and now he's adding $4 trillion to the debt. He's sounding a lot like what Republicans say they don't like about Democrats, and you're going to see MAGA fractured over this, even with Republicans, right? How deeply unpopular, you're giving an example, but there's so many other Republicans that spoke out about how horrible this bill was, and yet they forced it through anyway. So I think that and his foreign affairs mishaps are really going to define who leads this party, and I think it's a huge blow to J.D. Vance that he has to own this bill.
Kayvon, I'm going to come back to you with this one too, man. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries obviously made a lot of headlines yesterday, and other Democrats have said people will die because of the Medicaid reforms in this mega bill. Is that an effective argument, or do Democrats risk, trying to scare people or sounding like they're alarmists?
Well, I got to say, a lot of the facts here that we've been debating, Democrats are citing facts from the Congressional Budget Office, which is nonpartisan. These are realities, right? When you take away health care from millions of people, they won't have access to health care, and therefore some people will die. Of course, that's true. When you shut down hundreds of hospitals across rural America, people won't have access to the treatments they need, and of course, people will die. When you take away access to life-saving care at Planned Parenthood, which this bill also does to fund Planned Parenthood, women die. We've seen this over and over again, so absolutely it's not an exaggeration, just like Obamacare saved millions of lives.
So obviously we are looking here at these pictures beside us, just so everyone knows if they're just tuning in. President Trump set to sign that one big, beautiful bill with this picnic and this celebration here on July 4th. Denise, President Trump had, had a falling out with Elon Musk over the course of getting this bill passed. It played out on, social media for everybody to watch and read. 2 moderate Republicans, Senator Thom Tillis and Congressman Don Bacon, both announced that they won't seek re-election. What does the White House need to do to keep the party united moving forward?
Well, I just want to go back and quickly say we're not asking anyone to read the whole bill unless you want to, but if you did, I can understand why
Nearly
Kaivan and the
1,000
Democrats
pages.
don't
How much
want
do they
you
want to? How much do you think they want
Because
to read?
you've got to go look and you have to trust but verify. I'm a Reagan person. Here's, in regards to keeping unity, President Trump has had no problems whatsoever keeping the party unified. If you have a couple of defectors, that's incredible. That's absolutely remarkable. I mean, politically, nobody is saying that he's not in charge of whipping Republicans in line. So I think we should end up caucusing with some Democrats that actually are more concerned about the Mamdani wing of the party and the socialist agenda that's emerging and growing stronger on the Democratic side. And again, 60% of Democrats polled said they would prefer a more moderate tone in the Republican Party. So I think President Trump's going to do exactly what he did to get the blue wall and win it so well for the working class. And that is to let's reach out to Senator Fetterman. Let's reach out to some of those moderate Democrats and say, look, we want to work with you. Let's not be at odds. Let's work together for most Americans. And that's what we're going to see moving forward.
I got to get in here
President Trump
to say,
extended the invitation for Democrats to be there today to celebrate this incredible birthday gift.
After this bill passed, Donald Trump went and said he hates Democrats. I mean, a statement like that is so unproductive and unhelpful. And by the way, for all the pundits and all the journalists that basically blame the downfall of American democracy on Hillary Clinton saying basket of deplorables in 2016, I have not seen the same amount of reaction and coverage to that vile statement from the sitting president.
I will react and say it was horrible. I agree. I think it's horrible. I don't think anyone should hate anybody.
Why do you think he's
we should embrace and work together. Because he just did. He offered them an opportunity to be there. Well, he just offered them an invitation.
Hate is a strong word. All right, Kaivan, so this new budget bill.
I think actions are more powerful than words.
Fair enough. The new budget bill, let's talk about this here, because, I mean, nearly 1,000 pages. But the budget bill does extend the 2017 tax cuts, eliminate some taxes on tipped wages, so no tax on tips. It also has a tax reduction for seniors. So Democrats, is that something to be careful about, attacking those parts of the bill? Seniors would, benefit from that. What do you think?
Not really. I think Democrats have to treat the voters as, able to maybe not read 1,000 pages of a bill, but be smart enough to weigh the benefits and the costs, right? So are they getting, maybe a couple $100s in a little benefit, but then losing access to their health care, losing access to groceries? I mean, the trade-offs in what they're really getting in net income go down for the bottom 60% of Americans. And again, that's not a Democratic talking point. That's the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office saying that. So I think making sure people really understand the trade-offs in economics there will be really important.
I hope that they do, because, I have a mother who's 85 and lives on $3,000 a month. And I'll tell you what, a $6,000 bonus for seniors is actually huge for her. It's also huge that she won't get taxed on her Social Security. It's also huge for new parents and those who are trying to grow a family, that they now get $1,000 for every child that they have. It's also huge that they're getting an additional child tax credit. So you can say whatever you want about why you don't want people to read it. I don't have that elitist perspective that people can't read. I think people can absolutely read, and when they do, I think Democrats don't want them to, because they don't want them to see what's actually in the bill. If you say $6,000 bonus senior tax credit isn't helping seniors, I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, read the freaking bill.
It's not elitism to assume that most Americans don't have 60 hours to read a 1,000-page bill.
That's
just read that part. I mean, come on, that's on you.
Okay. That part,
total BS.
Kaivan, I'm glad you picked up on that. All right, Denise, I do want to ask you this. In addition to the Medicaid reforms, the legislation is going to make electric vehicles more expensive, put new limits on student loan borrowers. Is that something you think Americans, could be surprised when they find out all the things? And we were just talking about this. I mean, it is nearly 1,000 pages. But are they going to hate the fact that when they find that out and that it's in this bill?
I'm sure a lot of Californians, like my fiance who has a Tesla, will probably hate that the EV tax credit that I worked on for Elon Musk as a Tesla lobbyist and a lawyer for him in 2008 is actually going away. But you know what? Owning an EV is a privilege, not a right. And I don't think people should be subsidized. You talk about billionaire subsidies. Elon Musk has gotten $38 billion in federal subsidies. So no, I don't think that that's something that actually benefits most Americans and most Americans will care about.
All right, Denise, Kaivan, I appreciate both of you so much. Thanks for being here. And thanks for smiling, too. I love the smiles on a 4th of July.
Love being on with Denise.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for the fireworks. All right, still ahead.